I want to be with you along the way. Nothing else.
Welcome back to EveryDay. Sarah and I are talking about 10 tips that are going to make journaling a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, a lot more enjoyable for you. And today's is that one suggestion that we had actually from a friend of ours, Randy and Tina Bill, had called us up and said, we want to do something for your house church this summer. Is there anything that we can do to help your kids? And we said, hey, we really want to teach journaling this summer. And Tina loves to keep journals. And so they went out and bought 25 of these journals for our kids. And she gave us many suggestions for this whole segment we've been doing on EveryDay. One of them was she keeps 2 different journals, and Sarah has kept several different journals over the years, but Tina specifically keeps 2 journals. One of them to write down the normal things that you write down, the day-to-day kind of stuff, but she also keeps a prayer journal, and this I thought was a really good idea. That you can do it like she goes to the back of the journal and writes going forward. She did that for a long time. And then in the front of the journal, she writes the day-to-day kind of stuff. And then she told me that she finally just kept 2 separate journals. But what she would do in her prayer journal is she would take a page, and at the top of the page, she would write down addiction. And she would write down people that were battling addictions in their lives and the date. And you don't have to go into specifics about their situation because that's their own private business and everything. But she would write down when she started praying for that person. Or she would write down families in crisis. And she would write down families that she was praying for and when she started praying for them. And each time that she would go back and pray for them again, she would write down, some things about how God was answering that prayer and what the prayer need was. You can, write down, just... the most important thing is just writing down when you started to pray for that person and what that need was, so that way you can go back and you can remind yourself, okay, yes, this week I really want to focus on this friend and I want to pray for this friend. Because the amazing thing, and I remember Sarah telling me about this, when God answers that prayer.
It makes you feel just like, oh my word, I prayed for that person and they got healed. When I think it was 13, there was a lady in our church, her name was Lee Fife, and she was fighting for her life. She had double lung pneumonia. She was 77 years old, and the doctors had basically said, told her family, it's done. She's going to go be with Jesus. And she actually, in the middle of all of this, being in the ICU, at one point she was conscious enough to have somebody give her a pen, and she wrote, "I'm not going anywhere yet." And I just remember, oh my word. And she was in the hospital for a long time, but she recovered. And that was in Florida. And I remember the first time she came back to Alaska after that, I wanted to get to know her, and because I kind of knew her, but I really wanted to get to know her because I was like, I prayed for her and Jesus answered my prayer. And I got to spend many conversations with her over the years. And she lived to be a very old lady and died peacefully, in her 90s. And I was like, thank you, Jesus, for the time that I got to have to get to know her.
Yeah, and it's a chronicle of your prayer journey with Jesus. Some prayers we're never going to know this side of heaven how God answered that prayer or what God did. But there are times when you start praying for somebody and you see the ups and the downs of everything. but you kept praying for them and you kept believing for them and you kept bringing them before the Lord. And it's a really, really good reminder. So I'm so thankful that Tina brought that one up, because I think it is, whether you keep a separate journal for that or whether you just keep it in your regular journal, I think that is such a healthy way that journals can help us in our prayer life.
Yeah, there's one other thing that I did as a teenager. I had a wall right next to my bed, and I'd tear the piece of paper out of my steno pad and I would write there, the list of people. So as I fell asleep, I could look over there and go, oh, I need to pray for so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so.
Yeah.
And then I'd put it back in my journal after, I'd prayed for, some time.
Yeah.
But
So use your journal, whether you created a new one or whether you use your daily journal. Use it as an opportunity to write down prayers that you're praying for people and begin to track and start believing God is going to answer those prayers.